I beg to move and request my good friend Commissioner Matinga to second.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir. I rise to second the bill as moved by my chair of Agricultural Committee. Indeed, coffee sector is one of the backbone of Kenyan economy. We have witnessed a lot of success in terms of improved prices across the country. More so, Mr. Speaker, it's good to report to this House that one of the leading factories that got the best payment is from Udaya, which got 162 kilos. This is a record payment, Mr. Speaker. Most of our factories enjoyed very good returns, and therefore, Mr. Speaker, streamlining the sector, ensuring that we see the leakages, ensuring that we put sound regulations that will regulate and operationalize the value chain in coffee sector will go a long way to encouraging our farmers. Mr. Speaker, sir, as has been ably presented by my chair, it is not lost to us, Mr. Speaker, that there's been a lot of exploitation of the coffee farmers by cartels, that there's been a lot of exploitation, Mr. Speaker, because of complicated marketing structures that this bill will seek to address. On top of that, Mr. Speaker, the bill will also be seeking to mainstream by creation of a board that will ensure that the farmers get not only their due share of the coffee returns, but also do not get exploited by the cartels. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is at this age quite unfortunate that you need to regulate even the marketing, the auctioning. We that are exposed to the IT technology, we know that you do not need to have an office, nor do you need to have a license to be able to buy anything from Amazon. And this is one of the approaches that we are going to use to ensure that the coffee farmers can sell their crop where they want, when they want, and at a price that they've agreed on. Moreover, Mr. Speaker, we know that most of the coffee farmers have sold their crop, but also have to wait for so long to get paid, and therefore do not get money to till their farms. Mr. Speaker, this bill seeks to address some of these shortcomings and therefore encourage coffee farming. But as also we do that, Mr. Speaker, I must also urge my colleagues, and more so those who come from coffee farming area, that it is time now that we start talking to coffee farmers, because we know that the average age of coffee farmers is 50 years and above, and we need to get a strategy of mainstreaming young generation so that we do not have a gap when these aging farmers exit the market. Mr. Speaker, that said, it must also be pointed out that the unfortunate practice of subdividing pieces of land into small segments has also made coffee farming quite unproductive. Achieving economies of scale where you have tilling a very small piece of land, Mr. Speaker, is something that's becoming a major challenge. It has also become a major challenge for the farmers to be able to access the markets and the markets that they would want to sell their coffee because of the reducing volumes from each factory. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, as we talk about improving the regulations around the coffee bill, as we talk about mainstreaming the young generation towards coffee farming, we must also address and we must also be quite intentional about getting value addition so that we do not only sell coffee as beans, but also as finished product, to ensure that we create employment within the coffee sector, we create employment along the value chain, but most important, Mr. Speaker, that Kenyans also get to enjoy the good coffee that is one of the best qualities in the world. Mr. Speaker, I second.
Honorable Senators, the motion having been moved as seconded, I will now proceed to propose the question that the National Assembly amendments to the Coffee Bill, Senate Bills number 10 of 2023, be now considered. Now the floor is open for debate. The Honorable Ledama Olekina. So gather your thoughts. The Honorable Alexander Mundigi.
Asanti Bwana Spika, naunga mkono mjadala ambaye unahusikana na mambo ya kilimo ambaye ni ya kahawa. Katika Kenya siku hizi tunaweza kusherekea mambo ya kilimo kwa sababu mambo ya kilimo iko katika devolution katika county government, na pia tunashukuru serikali ya Kenya Kwanza vile imekuwa ikiangalia vile mkulima ataweza kufaidika. Bwana Spika, tunagundua wakati hii serikali iliingia kahawa, ilikuwa hata watu wengi walikuwa na majaribu kukata kahawa katika masinani na kupanda vitu zingine. Lakini sasa tunasherehekea wakati huu. Tumeona kaunti zingine mambo ya kilimo ya kahawa, nakuta factory zingine kahawa inatoka shilingi 150, zingine shilingi 130 na kutoka shilingi 40. Kwa hivyo ninaunga mkono tuweze kuangalia vile mkulima ataweza kufaidika. Kwa sababu tunakumbuka wakati wa sabani Bwana Spika, mambo ya kahawa wakati wazazi wetu wa zamani walikuwa nafunzwa, zile kaunti ilikuwa nalima mambo ya kahawa, ilikuwa ni mambo ambaye ilikuwa ya kusherekea sana, unakuta familia zao zilikuwa naenda vizuri. Lakini kwa miaka ingine iliyopita mambo ilikuja ikageuka, lakini sasa tunasherekea kwa sababu rais wa Kenya ambaye ni William Ruto alikuja akaunganisha watu wote pamoja Bwana Spika, na akasema mambo ya katero siweze kuondolewa, akaondoa usuru mambo mingi, lakini sasa tunajivunia. Kwa hivyo mimi naunga mkono Bwana Spika, tukienda vile tunaendelea, mkulima wa kahawa katika Kenya mzima atakuwa anajivunia na itakuwa inatoka karibu shilingi 200. Kwa hiyo Bwana Spika, naunga mkono. Sio kahawa peke yake, kuna mambo mengi tunafaa tuyaunge mkono. Kuna mambo ya majani, makandamia, maembe na pia avocados, hata mirasi tukumbuka. Kwa sababu katika nchi ya Kenya mambo ya kazi imekosekana. Shule nyingi wazazi wengi wamekosa pesa ya kupeleka watoto shule, lakini hata wale watoto wetu wamesoma vizuri na wakasoma shule hata ya juu na wakapata vyuo vikuu ya Ndingiri, imekuwa hakuna kazi. Lakini tukiendelea vile utakuta katika Kenya kaunti 47 mambo ya kilimo itaweza kuwa kipaumbele. Kwa hivyo ni kuomba watu wote county government, kwa sababu katika mambo ya kilimo iko katika county government. Tumeona governor wengine na ofisasi wengine wasaidii mambo ya kilimo. Bwana Spika, nikiongea mambo ya kahawa, wiki jana tulitembea huko katika Bungoma na Kisumu, lakini tukaangalia governors na wengine, unakuta wakati watu wengine wanajifunika kahawa inatoka shilingi 145, unakuta kaunti zingine kahawa inatoka shilingi 35, unakuta maziwa kaunti zingine inatoka shilingi 52, unakuta kaunti zingine maziwa inatoka shilingi 40. Kwa hiyo ni mambo ya kuhuzunisha, kwa sababu kumekuwa mataberi, una wengine wale watu wako wanasimamia mambo ya vyama. Kwa hiyo Bwana Spika, ningeomba mambo mengi iweze kuainishwa, na tukifanya hivyo mkulima wa kahawa na wakulima wale wa vitu zile zingine watafaidika vizuri. Kwa hivyo Bwana Spika, mimi naunga mkono nikiwa senator wa Embu County, na ninafurahia katika Embu County mambo ya kahawa iko kipaumbele. Kwa hivyo ni ya mwisho ni kuomba county government na agriculture fertilizer iweze kutengenezwa, iweze kupelekwa masinani, ndio tuweze kujivunia mambo ya kilimo. Kwa hivyo Bwana Spika, nikiwa senator wa Embu County, mimi naunga mkono. Ni mimi Daktari Alexander Munyi Mundigi. Asante Bwana Spika.
Senator Omtata.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to contribute to the motion that has been put on the floor on the coffee bill. I've looked at the amendments proposed by the National Assembly. Most of it are largely technical in nature, and I hope that the committee, when it goes to the committee, they'll be able to interrogate them in detail. And they seem to be supportive of the bill. And so we should be able to finalize this bill, because the bill is extremely important to the economy of this country. Coffee growing, right from the colonial days, was made a political crop. And we hope that with this bill, we will look into studies that have suggested that Nyanza and Western Kenya, that is Homa Bay, Siaya, Kisumu, Kakamega, Busia, Migori counties, have very high potential of producing very high quality coffee. These studies are documented, so we would request that as they look at this bill, we hope that this bill will be able to unlock the potential of these crops, because as you can see, the sugar barons have already invaded Western Kenya, and they have made mincemeat of the sugar industry. There's hardly that there. So I support and I pray that the committee will give its best attention. And as I'm still on my feet, I want to raise a matter of great concern to the Senate in terms of our emergency preparedness. Today, I just learned that we are sitting ducks. Should an emergency happen where you need an intervention from a medic, I just learned that the Senate does not have an emergency department or the parliament. We don't have even just a first aid. We have to rely on St. John's ambulance to get first aid. So the challenge we had this morning should be an eye-opener. It also occurred to me that we do not have the Bunge Tower, high as it is, does not have a lift where a stretcher can fit. We are only lucky that the emergency we had today happened on the first floor. So we're able to carry the victim using a stretcher by the staircase. Imagine if it had happened at the top of that building, what would have happened? So I think it was a terrible thing. Whoever decided, I think time has come for us to hold people to account. That building cannot continue being like that. When I leave my office, I have to go and look for a shoe shiner to shine my shoes because the carpet gets off and sticks on my shoes. I need a service of a shoe shiner when leaving my office. It's very, very sad. Whoever designed that building, these people need to be arrested and locked away. Right from people who designed it, those people who supervised it, people who stood for it. We know that people who made millions of shillings out of that building. We know that people in this house who bought houses in Karen.
Senator Omtata, I just want to know, we are in order number 9.
Yes.
Debating the amendments as proposed by the National Assembly on the coffee bill. I'm struggling to find relevance. It's a heavy matter you're raising, but I'm just struggling to find relevance with what you're saying and the matter at hand.
Yes,
I'll give you an opportunity maybe later on to ventilate on the very important matter you're raising. But for now, just restrict yourself to order number 9.
Okay, going back to the question of coffee, we also realize that coffee is a political crop. It's an international crop, a political crop that requires heavy lobbying, and value addition for us should be a very important consideration. We cannot continue exporting raw beans or exporting raw leaves and then re-importing finished products. I think when you consider this bill, I'll be requesting that those responsible take it upon themselves to make sure that the question of value addition is seriously addressed, and we see how this country can we should even maybe make it illegal like European countries have done, that you cannot export raw material. So that we can try to just make sure that we do whatever it takes to export finished products from Kenya. This idea of raw materials has created poverty among our farmers. If you see what the farmer takes, you go to central Kenya where they're growing coffee, you look at what the farmer takes home against a tin of Nescafe, you find that this farmer hardly makes anything. So let us really try to think of how we can invest in the coffee industry, the chain, the value addition systems and the factories and whatever, so that we can begin creating Kenyan coffee, selling it as a finished product, and ensuring that we get maximum value from the raw material. The value addition, sometimes most of the value is in value addition and not necessarily in raw material. But I pray, Mr. Speaker, that these studies that have come up showing that there are many, many areas of this country that can grow coffee and do it profitably are also looked at, and investments prepared for it so that the culture and the fear and the politics of coffee locally can be opened up to many sectors, and we develop a proper industry, right from the farm to the coffee cup. We have control and we have Kenyan control. Mr. Speaker, with those few words, I thank you for the opportunity.
Senator Cheriot, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to oppose this motion. Probably it would be good for me to explain why, so that members don't think that I'm at variance with what the committee is proposing. There's a little technicality, Mr. Speaker, in how this motion is drafted, because the motion before us, as moved by the Chair of Agriculture Committee, is that the National Assembly amendments to the coffee bill be now considered. Yet, in considering the report of the committee, if you look at the report of the committee, Mr. Speaker, they're actually rejecting quite a number of those amendments. That means the committee wants us to go through a mediation process between us and the Assembly. If you consider these amendments, it means, Mr. Speaker, we have to sit as a committee of the whole, reject those amendments in the committee of the whole, then now send them to the Assembly for us to come and do a mediation, then consider those amendments again. So therefore, there wasn't proper fluency in how this motion was drafted, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, the easiest thing that I urge my colleagues to do is that for us to achieve what the committee wants us to do, which is to reject some of the amendments that were made in the Assembly, is to defeat this motion, Mr. Speaker, and therefore necessitate the formation of a mediation committee between us and the National Assembly. Then we can pass the mediated version of the bill, which will be agreed between the two houses. It's a very simple and straightforward matter, Mr. Speaker. So for that reason, I oppose this motion, Mr. Speaker, and agree to the reasoning behind the rejection of the amendments by the National Assembly, by our committee, Mr. Speaker, because coffee is not just any ordinary crop. I'm a proud representative of coffee farmers, Mr. Speaker. Hardly do farmers, and I represent coffee, tea, and sugarcane farmers in this House, Mr. Speaker. And hardly do farmers appreciate government effort in any particular industry. I think in my time here in the Senate, on only 2 or 3 occasions I've done that. In the year 2021, Mr. Speaker, when we passed the tea bill, sponsored by yours truly, and farmers began receiving their payment by 5th of every month, as opposed to the previous practice where they'd wait, sometimes even for 2 months, and so many other accruing benefits, including, Mr. Speaker, the ability of farmers to vote in directors into their factories on the principle of 1 man, 1 vote, not to be confused by another mantra, Mr. Speaker, that is common in our political parlance. Farmers really appreciated and they celebrated. At that particular time, tea farmers were happy. Of course, the story is different right now, and there are challenges, serious ones that need to be addressed. Coffee farmers, Mr. Speaker, at this particular day and time, are extremely happy. When I go to parts of my county, Mr. Speaker, that has coffee growing farmers, they appreciate that at the coming into place of this administration, Mr. Speaker, they are receiving 30 shillings, sometimes even 20. As it is today, one of my largest coffee societies, the Kipkelian Coffee Society, is selling and gaining price of upwards of 140, 150, something that is unprecedented before, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, we must guard the interest of our farmers to ensure that every amendment that we move in this particular House, Mr. Speaker, serves to protect their interest more. They should actually be earning more than that. But because of middlemen, Mr. Speaker, and how the Nairobi Coffee Exchange had been handled, Mr. Speaker, there were serious challenges. And I must appreciate the efforts that have been made to get them to that level. But the bigger challenge for us, Mr. Speaker, is how do we safeguard, how do we ensure that farmers continue to gain and appreciate the value of coffee? Actually, for the very first time, there's a reverse trend in my own county. Previously, when I went to the coffee growing areas, they'd challenge me and say, the same way you guys worked hard for the tea farmers, we want to see our benefits. That was the song last term. But this term, it is now, the noise is on the tea side. They are challenging and urging, why did you guys focus too much on the coffee side? Now our tea crop has all these problems. And you know the benefits also in the sugarcane side. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, as representatives of farmers ordinarily, we need to take such bills with the seriousness that it deserves. If there is a responsibility that you can have, particularly as a senator, Mr. Speaker, because you know agriculture is a devolved function. The policies and legislative proposals that we pass in this particular house must reflect the spirit of our constitution, ensuring that we protect the interest of our farmers, Mr. Speaker, that we pass legislation that captures the understanding that there are two levels of government, the national government and the county government, Mr. Speaker, and the need to thereof, as a representative of the people, to ensure that in all the conversation, the farmer doesn't get lost in all the jargon that comes up the legislative making procedure. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the Committee on Agriculture for their industry. It will have been easy because I know we have gone to public forum many times, Mr. Speaker, and people have spoken, Mr. Speaker, on the need to conclude on this particular exercise. Sometimes it makes sense to hold out, even just for a few more days, but get the right piece of legislation. It's not easy to legislate on such a political crop like coffee. And therefore, for the journey, the legislative journey that this particular bill has traveled, beginning in this house, going to the assembly, now back to this house, and about to go even through a mediation exercise, Mr. Speaker, I believe it is worth it. Of course, we have to expedite because we have to lock in the gains at this particular time when the farmers are happy and there are many Kenyans that continue to plant coffee, Mr. Speaker, so that we take advantage of the good vibes that farmers have at this particular point. Therefore, I hope that the members who will eventually get the opportunity to serve in the mediation committee when we reject this particular motion and follow through with the reasoning by our agriculture committee, Mr. Speaker, will expedite on that exercise. I am particularly concerned, Mr. Speaker, because nowadays, while previously mediation exercises will take between, on average, 2 to 3 weeks, some of our mediation exercises, Mr. Speaker, are beginning to take fairly long. And I want to request chairpersons and those members that we grant the opportunity to serve, Mr. Speaker, in mediation committees, that they would actually consider expediting, especially people-centric legislation, like this particular one and so many others, Mr. Speaker. It will be something worth considering and making sure that we conclude on these bills. You know, Mr. Speaker, that for example, the last 2-3 months, the country has been conversing about the menace of gambling in our republic and the need to rein in betting farms and all these institutions. Yet, we have a mediation committee that has served, I think, almost 70 days now and counting, between us and the assembly. A bill that began its life here, in the assembly, came here. They disagreed with our amendments, Mr. Speaker, and now there's a mediation team that we formed, I think, in the month of March. We are now nearing June. Before concluding the exercise, I want to urge colleagues, Mr. Speaker, that when we have a matter that is people-centric, especially that is topical in the country, and people feel that there is need to provide guidance, we need to expedite on that particular. I don't know who sits in that committee. I can't recall who the Senate sent to represent us in that particular committee. My urging, Mr. Speaker, is that when we form this particular one, we will quickly expedite so that we can represent our farmers. Mr. Speaker, with those many remarks, I beg to oppose the motion for the reasons that I had explained earlier, and hope that we can conclude on this exercise quick enough so that we begin the mediation exercise as soon as our colleagues from the other house resume next week. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Olekina.